just stopped Takaya and said, hey, we believe you may have taken some items and you didn't pay for them. Would you mind, like putting the items back or coming back inside and us trying to like work on paying for them? Instead of alerting.
The fact is, there was previously an arrest for Miss Young for a violation of protection order. Now, we'll never know for sure if her previous warrant, combined with her previous charges of theft and fleeing from the police, may have contributed to her refusal to get out of her Lexus and speak with the officer.
Takia Young, if you see this on my screen, she was a 21-year-old lady. They said she went into Kroger's in Blendon Township. This is just out of Columbus, Ohio, I believe. They claimed that she stole some alcohol. And while she was getting in her car, the police was already there. They were trying to help another citizen out because they got locked out of their car. I guess the staff followed her and said, hey, she's stealing something. So instead of, they stopped what they're doing, helping this, this other individual out, and they went to her car and tried to get her to get out the car. They asked her to step out the car for about 10 or 11 times. She did not do that. And so she, instead of stepping out the car, she put the car in drive and accelerated. And one officer was in front of the vehicle. The other side was on the driver's side. And the officer that she ran over, he actually shot her. Now, this is what I saw on the video cam, but I'm going to show you the video cam and you tell me what you think. Maybe I'm totally, wrong about it, but a car is considered deadly force. So if you try to run somebody over with a vehicle, and if they have a weapon in their hand, it's self-defense. They can use the weapon. That's just a rundown about this whole incident.
Was killed in a shooting involving Blendon Township police just 5 days ago. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Andrew Kinsey.
And I'm Yolanda Harris. The Blendon Township Police Department says it plans to release body cam footage on Friday, but the family says they want to see it now.
10 TV's Kiana Dicers joins us live tonight with more on their request. Kiana.
Well, Andrew, Yolanda, we're now learning a little bit more about who Takaya Young was. Her family calls her the life of the party. She has 2 young sons, and we now know that she was pregnant with a little baby girl. But her family now is demanding transparency and accountability, saying that an alleged crime shouldn't be a death sentence.
Now August is going to be a grieving month, for a while, because she shouldn't be gone.
In tears, Takaya Young's grandmother recalls the day she was shot and killed.
It just was tragic, and it should have never, ever, ever happened.
It happened last Thursday. A Blendon Township police officer shot and killed Young in a Kroger parking lot after she was accused of stealing alcohol. Nearly a week later, her family joined their attorney, Sean Walton, demanding answers.
There are many questions that are unanswered. They're unanswered partially because we don't know the identity of this officer. We don't know his previous history. We don't know if any other citizens had interactions with this officer that could provide any kind of perspective on how we got here today.
Walton is calling for body camera footage to be released immediately.
It's important to point out the gap in time between Takaya's killing and the release of the body camera footage. That footage can be released whenever they're ready. There should be an urgency to releasing that footage, and we don't quite understand the delay.
The family describes Young as the family party girl and a prankster.
She was family-oriented. She was like a fireball.
And they're calling on Blendon Township police to take swift action and release the video of her death.
But the family is suffering and they are in pain while that delay is taking place.
And Blendon Township plans to show the family the video on Friday. After that, it'll be available to the public.
And let me tell you guys, from my experience or from just knowing of these type of incidents happening, they never released the body cam. They just started releasing body cam footage since the whole BLM incident. So we can't say, oh, why are they holding the body cam? And they just released it. This was last Thursday. I don't know. This news report came out 2 days ago. Okay, so you're saying that they should have released it right away. No, that's not realistic. They're not going to release the officer's name. That's not realistic. My brother was killed in 2019 from an off-duty cop. They didn't have a body cam, but we had to get injunction for them to even release the name of the cop that killed him. And he was off duty. I say her parents failed her. She shouldn't have died because of stealing. And that's not why she died. She died because she didn't obey the commands of the officer. That's exactly why she passed away, why the officer killed her. You didn't obey the commands of the officer. You tried to run him over with your car. They didn't know you was pregnant, but still, should he get ran over by a person because you're pregnant? I mean, you guys might be mad at what I'm saying, but we got to talk about accountability. Takaya made those choices in her life. She was working on her third baby and she's only 21 years old. So who failed her? Her mom and her dad did. For some reason, she thought she was able to get away with these types of things. And now they released the footage from Forbes Breaking News. And reason why I like this footage, because they have an expert really explaining what happened in the video. So I'm going to show you this footage. And warning, it's kind of graphic. They don't really show any blood or anything, but it's, it's heartbreaking. And, you don't want to see anybody, pass away. And they blur it out, but it's kind of sad.
I'm Russ Martin, former Delaware County Sheriff and Chief of Police for the City of Delaware. I worked in law enforcement for more than 40 years before recently retiring. I have no connection to the Blendon Township Police Department, but they asked me to provide and review some context that might be helpful to the general public about the body-worn camera video from the tragic officer-involved shooting that recently happened. I want to be clear. I won't be making any conclusions about whether what the officer did was right or wrong. That's the job of other agencies. I'll simply offer analysis similar to what any investigator might look at when reviewing body-worn camera video of a use of force incident. Let's take a look at the video. Police Officer 1 was already in the front of the Kroger parking lot after a citizen called and asked for help after locking herself out of her car. This is a common call for police. We can see that he's using tools police carry in their car to try to open the locked car door. Police Officer 2, who had just finished with a nearby car accident, is on the scene and also tries to help unlock the citizen's car. As Officer number 2 is working, a Kroger employee approaches him from behind and points to a woman getting into her car. The Kroger employee tells Officer 2 that the woman getting into the black Lexus has just stolen things from the store. Police officers routinely may be focused on one task in a public setting, then, when abruptly interrupted, must then redirect focus to a more pressing matter. Officer number 2 quickly approaches the Lexus and attempts to talk to the suspect. He repeatedly tells her to stop and get out of the running car. It's well within the legal authority of police to temporarily stop and detain anyone believed to be part of a potential crime. Officer 1 appears to notice what his colleague is doing and walks over to assist. As Officer 2 continues to loudly tell the driver to get out of the car, Officer 1 walks past him briskly and moves around to the front of the car. Police officers are generally at greater risk either directly in front of or behind a car for obvious reasons. Drivers can drive forward or backward into the officers when they're in that most vulnerable position. Generally, police training teaches that when two officers have approached a car on foot or intend to interview a suspect on the street, they will take a position that gives them the best advantage for observing what the suspect is doing. In police parlance, this is simply referred to as contact and cover. One officer is attempting to contact the person to be interviewed, while the assisting officer is providing cover or oversight of the scene. Officers are trained that one of the most dangerous encounters they face on the job involves a driver seated in a car. It's dangerous because there are many places in a car where a weapon can be hidden and the driver's hands are often out of view. While this suspect didn't have a weapon, the officers didn't know that at the time. 19 seconds into the encounter, the suspect rolls her window down a few inches and asks why she's being stopped. Officer 2 tells her that a Kroger employee has accused her of stealing. Citizens can ask why they are being detained or ordered to comply, and, in most cases, When there's time and no urgent circumstances, the officer should provide an answer, as Officer 2 does. Ohio law requires everyone to comply with the lawful order of a police officer. Although she's been ordered to get out of the running car many times by now, the driver starts to turn the steering wheel to the right as Officer 1 is directly in front of the car, in a clearly vulnerable position. Officer number 1 draws his firearm and again loudly orders the woman to stop the car. Police officers are trained to draw their firearms when threatened with deadly force, which can be from a gun, a knife, or a vehicle. In the next second, the driver steps on the gas and the car moves forward. When you look at side-by-side footage from both officers' body cameras, you can see that the suspect's car pushes Officer 1 backwards several feet. It's clear from the video that the car makes contact with the officer. In the next second, you can see that both of Officer 1's feet are off the ground. At this moment, Officer 1 fires a single shot through the windshield. Officer 1 is then able to slide off the hood of the moving car as it rolls towards the building. Officers run to keep up with the moving car, and from the video, it doesn't appear that the officers would have any way of knowing whether the driver is in control of the car. When the car stops, they act quickly to get the driver out of the car, which is what they are often trained to do. I was asked only to make observations of what I saw from the officer's body-worn camera video from this brief encounter. While we have the benefit of slow motion after the fact, it's important to remember that police officers have to make these difficult decisions in a split second, often in the middle of a highly stressful and very dangerous situation.
Okay, so on this body footage or this review of the footage, they slowed the incident down. Okay, so that's why I was like, oh, it looks like she wasn't even going that fast. Well, it's in slow motion.
Back in service, 1828.
Get out of the car. Then get out. No, then get out.
Get out of the car.
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 So you see where he shot her. He shot directly at her.
Car! Stop! Stop! Car!
We're going to have a 34 on he's going to be out.
They're not going to show her laying there. So they took her to the hospital and she was pronounced dead, and her baby did not survive either. Okay. It's very heartbreaking that it came to that. That's why you might not like the police, but you can't run them over. You know, that's something that you can't do. Everybody's putting their own twist on the story instead of knowing really what happened. I don't know what her name is. Oh, Abolition for Life. So, you know, Black Power, all that Black Lives Matter type movement. Of course, they're going to latch on to it and they're going to protest. And this is what she's saying that happened. She wasn't even there. Apparently, she didn't read the news report, but she's saying this. And she got 191 loves. I don't know how many people actually watched the video, but this is what's going around.
Okay, y'all, we need to talk about Takaya Young. Trigger warning, this is going to be about police brutality. Takaya Young is a 21-year-old Black woman that was living in Columbus, Ohio. She was shopping at a local Kroger near her house. The pigs, being who they are, were already on site.
See, this is where the narrative gets wrong. No, she wasn't shopping, she was shoplifting. And then you're calling the cops pigs. Okay, you don't like the cops, but why are you spreading misinformation? She was shoplifting, and that's why they alerted the police. And they were on scene, but they was helping somebody else.
On site, harassing other people and looking.
They wasn't harassing other people. They were actually opening up somebody's car door. As you could see there, we saw the body cam footage. The guy was trying to help some other citizen open up their door. This is why we need to stop jumping on this racist police brutality bandwagon. We need to stop doing it without knowing all the factual information.
Into someone's vehicle that was parked mysteriously or something. For whatever reason, one of the Kroger employees believed that Takaya might have stolen some food. So they went to the police that were already in the parking lot and alerted them that that might have happened. I get that the police were already on site, but there's no reason why that Kroger employee couldn't have just stopped Takaya and said, hey, we believe you may have taken some items and you didn't pay for them. Would you mind?
No, if I am an employee of whatever establishment and I see the police officer there and I said, hey, that lady, this guy is here for serve and protect. Why would I put myself, the police officer's right there, instead of me tussling with the girl, oh, can you get her? And she might obey his command more than mine, right? That's because they're more of an authority figure. So why would you do this? So I don't understand, why would a person think, oh, I'm just going to handle it myself, and they see police right there? No, they're not going to do that. They're going to call the police. They're going to say, oh, there's the police right there. Can you stop her? Because she stole something.
Like putting the items back or coming back inside and us trying to like work on paying for them.
Does this sound, let's rewind that. I know I stopped it in the middle of it, but we're talking about a grown woman now. Takaya might have been young, but she's a grown woman. Listen to what she said. Oh, the person stole it. Let's work on paying this. These are not children. Children, you do that. You do that for kids. Oh, I'm going to teach you a lesson. You can't steal from the store. So either I'm going to call your mom or your dad. They're going to have to pay for the items, or you're going to have to put those. That's how you do children, to give them verbal warning, to let them know stealing is unacceptable.
Just stopped Takaya and said, hey, we believe you may have taken some items and you didn't pay for them. Would you mind, like putting the items back or coming back inside and us trying to like work on paying for them? Instead of alerting.
Would you mind? I'm the only one who would think this is just totally ludicrous. Oh, hi, we think you stole some items. Let's work it out. Do you mind putting them back? She stole some alcohol. And I'm not trying to diminish. This is a horrific incident. I'm not trying to say, oh, she deserved to die. No one deserves to die for stealing. But she tried to run an officer over with her car. That's why she lost her life. She didn't lose her life for stealing stuff. She lost her life because she didn't obey the commands of the officer, and she tried to use her vehicle as a weapon. I just want you guys to separate that too. She didn't get killed for stealing stuff. She got killed for using her car as a deadly weapon. And this nut job is saying, oh, that's what we should be doing for everyone that comes in the store to steal. Hey, do you mind paying? I think you might have stole some stuff. Do you mind coming in and pay for some stuff? Get paid for it, or putting them back on the shelf? No, that's why I stole it. I'm not a nice person. That's why I'm stealing. I'm stealing because, number one, I don't want to pay for it. And I can't afford it. No, I'm not going to be nice about it.
The police, which we know is very trigger happy when it comes to Black people everywhere, but especially in Columbus, Ohio. And that's what actually happened. Police ended up killing this 21-year-old Black woman who was pregnant. This is the GoFundMe to help her family fight and hold police accountable for her death. Here's more information as well.
We are also getting a first look at the woman who was shot and killed by police last night. This is Takaya Young, who was shot and killed at a Kroger in Blendon Township last night. The Franklin County coroner identifying her earlier today.
That shooting happened around 6:30 last night at the Kroger on Sunbury Road. And NBC4's Jamie Ostroff joins us now with the latest details on what happened there, Jamie.
Yeah, there are still so many questions that we have today, and we are learning now from the Franklin County coroner that Takaya Young was pregnant when she was shot and killed by law enforcement. She was 21 years old. And since that shooting yesterday evening, we have been asking law enforcement what led to it, whether Young had a weapon, and how many officers fired shots. We are not getting any of those answers at this point. The Blendon Township Police Department posts a summary of the previous day's police activity every morning on its Facebook page. And today, there was no post. The Bureau of Criminal Investigation has taken the lead in this investigation, as is often the case when law enforcement shoots someone in Ohio. And of course, we will share any new information with you.
Even the news media, I know they wanted, it's a story. They didn't have much information. They just reported it. But you're trying to make Takaya as if she was so innocent. We shouldn't hold her accountable for what she did. We're trying to hold the police accountable, but what about her actions? And then another damn thing, you guys with this GoFundMe stuff. Okay, this girl was driving a Lexus. Where's sell that car so you could pay for her funeral? Then she got 2 kids. Why are you in the store stealing liquor and you already got 2 kids? Why are you taking liquor anyway? You're pregnant. Why aren't us as Black folks answering these questions? 21-year-old girl already got 2 kids and got a baby on the way. Am I the only one? Is something wrong with that picture? And then when you get on Facebook and Instagram, we got all these messages, defenseless 21-year-old pregnant woman leaving a Kroger grocery store in Blendon Township, Ohio, with 2 other children at home was publicly executed by the police on Thursday. She was accused by employees to nearby police of stealing liquor. The police did what they was supposed to do. They put the 2 officers on administrative leave. Of course, all these Black folks trying to make a martyr out of Takaya Young, and she shouldn't be. We need to start holding people accountable for their action. If she didn't steal nothing, she could have easily got out the car. Hey, look in my bag. I didn't steal nothing. You publicly embarrassed me. How many times have we heard someone get stopped by the police in the store being accused of stealing, and they didn't steal nothing, and that was a lawsuit? That ain't nothing new. But we don't want to hold us accountable for none of our actions. We want to play victim, and it's really ridiculous. When are we going to stop that? This is the police chief.
Last week's critical incident in Blendon Township that was just released. It was hard to watch, right? There's no getting around that. It is very, very difficult to watch. This is particularly true knowing that it ended with the loss of 2 lives. Now, young children will grow up without their mother. Those facts are indisputable, and they are heartbreaking. However, we cannot look at just the end result of this incident. We must look at the entire incident. Regardless of the emotions, all facts must be considered. Those facts include the actions Ms. Young took leading to this incident and should not be ignored. The fact is, Ms. Young was not shot for stealing alcohol. She was shot because following an aggravated robbery, she tried to run down a fellow human being. The fact is, there was previously an arrest for Ms. Young for a violation of protection order. Now, we'll never know for sure if her previous warrant, combined with her previous charges of theft and fleeing from the police, may have contributed to her refusal to get out of her Lexus and speak with the officer. The fact is, Ms. Young ignored repeated lawful orders to get out of the car. She was told more than 10 times to get out of the car. The fact is, had she simply complied with the police officer's instructions and get out of the car, she may have been arrested, maybe have done a day or 2 at most in jail. Instead, Ms. Young chose to accelerate her vehicle directly into the path of an officer, striking him and lifting him off the ground. The fact is, a car is a deadly weapon, can be used as a deadly weapon. We've had 3 officers struck and seriously injured by vehicles already this year. Now, I understand much of the public might be wondering, why even bother with allegations of shoplifting? There's no real punishment for here anyway in Franklin County, so why shouldn't the officer just let her go? Officers have a legal duty to act. They have a legal duty to act when they are alerted to a crime. But what happens when they allow her to flee? They don't act, and instead of hit an officer, she hits someone in that parking lot. How about if she hits a child? We just had a situation in Columbus a few weeks ago where the officers chose not to pursue a stolen car due to the risk it posed to the public. That individual still drove through a grassy picnic area, not even a street or a parking lot, struck and killed a 4-year-old child. This incident occurred in a very busy parking lot at peak hours with multiple civilians throughout the parking lot. Police work is dangerous, and split-second decisions must be made. Officer makes a correct decision, he's hailed a hero. He makes the wrong decision, he's in prison or he's dead. Contrary to what some people think, the Fraternal Order of Police, Capital City Lodge 9, we do not represent our members in criminal investigations. While we do have a legal obligation under state law to represent our members in administrative investigations and contractual issues, this does not extend to criminal investigations, which this case is. Our members pay for legal protection through a national insurance plan that determines coverage like any other insurance plans, and the Fraternal Order of Police does not play any role in that process or coverage determinations. This incident was tragic for everyone involved. Miss Young's family, the officers involved, and their families. Now we must be patient. We have to wait for the investigation to be completed. Police officers have the same constitutional rights as any other citizen. They also have tremendous power and tremendous responsibility. With that responsibility and power comes accountability to those we're sworn to serve. However, police officers cannot be the only ones held accountable for their actions. Individuals reported for breaking the law must also be held accountable for their actions. The Columbus branch of the NAACP said it best last week in a 10 TV interview. When a police officer gives you a command, please follow the command. I'm going to repeat that. When an officer gives you a command, please follow that command. I'm begging you, do not put our officers in a position where they have to use deadly force. On behalf of the 4,500 dedicated men and women of Capital City Lodge 9, our thoughts and prayers go out to all those families, that community impacted by this event.
Like I said, it's tragic. It's tragic that this ended this way. But when are we going to say, okay, Takaya is responsible for her actions? It's just not one-sided. This was not a one-sided event. She wasn't strolling through a park and was an innocent bystander. No, she caused this stuff to happen to her. As painful as it sounds, she caused this. And we might say, she was young and she was getting her life together. She was a mother, and people are mad about it. People are mad. Let me show you Twitter, what Twitter is saying. These MFers are literally calling the executioners crime victims. But you're calling the person that tried to ran somebody over, why are you calling them an ex? No, it's literally, if you was a citizen, it would be self-defense. If somebody tried to run you over with the car and you had a gun and you shot them, that's called self-defense. Why is it different for a police officer? Somebody put on their tweet, I don't know who this is. It says, make no mistake, they still out here killing us and our unborn babies. No, the police officer is not killing your unborn babies, dear. This is a misquote. The likelihood for you to get killed by a police officer is 1,000,000 to 1. Abortion is killing your unborn baby, even though she decided to have all her kids. But that's not killing our babies. And then if they're Black babies between the ages of 13 and 33, we killing each other. Another Black man will kill that Black baby. Let's call a spade a spade. I don't know if you guys took a probability or statistic class, but the probability of you getting killed by a police officer is so slim, or being killed by white supremacists. So-called white supremacy. You have more chances of winning a lottery than getting killed by a police officer. This is not the 1940s. So this one guy said, let me get this right. Black lady shoplifts and gets shot to death. White lady does the exact same thing and live to talk about it. We're not safe here. No, the white lady probably obeyed the command of the officer. And let's say, okay, you're absolutely right. If we're saying police are dangerous, 10 times more dangerous or insensitive to Black people, wouldn't you want to more obey the law of the land? Why would you want to go into the criminal justice system if we're saying it's not made for us? It's made to entrap us. I just don't understand that. And now they putting pictures up of the guys that was doing their job. Like I said, this is sad, but let's take ownership of what she did wrong.